This is the lab demo for Lab 5. We'll be working with confidence intervals. We'll start with proportions. Now what we'll be doing is going to the Stat menu, select Proportion Stats, one sample, and for this we have summary rather than raw data. So we'll select summary. Now you'll need to input the number of observations along with the number of successes. The number of observations would be n, the number of successes is x. We're going to select confidence interval for p and input the level of confidence as a decimal value. 0.95 is 95%, 0.9 is 90%, etc. After doing that, you'll need to select compute. Don't forget to save your result. You will not have a data set for this one. You'll just have a single result, and then you'll need to answer the questions specified in the text exercise 9.1, number 25. For the next problem, we'll be working with the mean. We'll be in 9.2, number 19. For this one, we'll need a different distribution. So we'll say, I'm going to cancel that one. You, of course, will have clicked compute. Now we'll go back to stats. Now if we want to get confidence intervals for the mean, we'll need t-stats for one sample. And in this case, again, we'll be working with summary, not raw data. What we need to input is the sample mean, sample standard deviation, and the sample size, which is n. And then again, we'll select confidence interval and type in the level of confidence. Again, 95% is 0.95, so be careful that you interpret the percents correctly here. Then you'll click compute, and don't forget to save your results. For this particular problem, what we're doing is examining the result of changing sample size in terms of the confidence interval and the precision of the confidence interval. So you'll have multiple results for this one, and you'll be comparing the confidence interval results based on sample size collected. Now for the third problem, we're going to be in 9.3, number 15. This particular problem deals with standard deviation. It also deals with raw data. So what we can do is go back here to the MyLab site. On StatCrunch, what you can do is say data sets from your textbook, and we'll go to 9.3, number 15. So I'm going to click Chapter 9. And of course, you can also open these from the textbook, from that e-text, but I happen to have this open here, so I'll show you an alternate method. 9.3, number 15, here it is. And what we're going to do is we'll click Stat, and of course, standard deviation and variance are related. In StatCrunch, it's under Variance Stats, and we'll say one sample, and we have data this time. And so this time, we of course, instead of typing in sample statistics, we will be selecting a column of raw data. Then we'll be selecting confidence interval. Now, confidence interval, for this one, you'll need to specify the level of confidence. And I'm actually going to do part of this example for you, but I'm going to use a different level of confidence. Now, in this particular problem, they want you to construct a 90% confidence interval. I'm going to leave it at the default and construct a 95% confidence interval so that I can demonstrate one of the idiosyncrasies of this system that make it a little bit difficult. Now, we'll say compute, and what we get is a lower limit and an upper limit. But you'll notice here that this is a lower and upper limit for the variance, not the standard deviation. Now, here's the deal. The sample variance, we know that the sample variance is the square of the sample standard deviation. In order to get appropriate results to answer the questions in this problem, you will need to take the square root of the sample variance, the square root of the lower limit, and the square root of the upper limit. It's very important that you take the square root of all three of these values to interpret this for standard deviation as opposed to variance. So StatCrunch does not have a setting that allows you to force the system to calculate the standard deviation values, so we need to make those adjustments manually. Please don't forget to do this when you interpret your results. Don't forget to save your results here. And so now you have information about how to use either raw data or sample statistics in order to utilize these systems. Remember, we're going to stat, and then we'll be using proportion stats for proportions, t-stats for mean, and variance stats for either variance or standard deviation.